Hi, I'm Matt Weiss. Welcome to the 12th in a series of shows focused on Brookline as an age-friendly community. In 2012, the World Health Organization of the United Nations selected Brookline as the first community in New England to be designated one of its age-friendly cities. As a result, the Board of Selectmen created the Age-Friendly Cities Committee, and this show resulted. Today, we have as a guest someone who has been on the show before. In fact, she was on the first show. Nancy Daly of the Board of Selectmen, and 12 years a member of the Board of Selectmen, has decided not to run again. Instead, she's going to be a town meeting member, as she's run unopposed from Precinct 12. And she will remain active with the Council on Aging, with the Age-Friendly Cities Committee, and with all of the activities in town. For 12 years, Nancy on the Board of Selectmen worked with the Council on Aging, and when it was formed, worked with the Age-Friendly Cities Committee as the co-chair. Today, we're doing something a bit unusual. We're going to be on location at the Senior Center with Nancy and guests, people who would like to say thank you for her time and discuss the past and the future activities related to the age-friendly cities. Welcome, Nancy. It's really an honor.
Well, thank you, Matt, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great. I've seen you at committee meetings, and we've had discussions that are both positive, negative, et cetera, and accomplished a lot over the years.
Yeah, I think mostly positive,
I think so. Yeah. I agree. And certainly from my view.
Yeah.
So the questions I do have is there's a couple of things you've done outside of the committee, and I hear about them and I know about them, but secondhand. Runkle and some of the schools that you're involved in.
Right.
What was that?
Well, we have a really burgeoning school-age population in Brookline, and it has created, in addition to operating budget difficulties for us, it's created a capital crisis, in that we just don't have enough space to put all these kids. And so we've been doing a number of projects, and one of the ones I worked on was a major expansion and renovation of the Runkle School, right, to accommodate some extra kids there. And then I worked on Devotion School, which tore down all of Devotion except for the old 1913 wing, which we call the John F. Kennedy wing, because he attended school there. And we're building a giant school behind there. That's going to be the biggest school in the town, for 1,000 kids. And now been working the last couple months on the 9th school, the 9th elementary school. So we're trying to build an entire new school. So that's how many kids we have. Lots of new kids in town, and we've got to, it's our job to educate them, so we've got to accommodate them.
Yeah, I mean, when we say age-friendly, we mean all ages, and you really mean all ages. But that's, I've seen the Devotion School, right? And that is moving. I mean, that's like really...
we're right on schedule and on budget, I'm happy to say.
That's great.
Yeah.
Even if you leave the Board of Selectmen, won't affect it.
No, that one's well underway. The 9th school, though, somebody's got to step in and take over for my role on that, because that one is still in planning stages, and
nothing to reveal now, right? About who's doing it?
Well, I'm not sure actually. I've sort of.
Good. Oh, we'll see what happens. And the Runkle School, what was involved in that? Because that's the one I know the least about.
Yeah, well, that was, my kids actually went to Runkle, and I can tell you, my son, who's now in his 30s, and he has his PhD now, I'm happy to say. But years ago, when he was a student at Runkle, we were talking then about how the school needed to be renovated. So it took a long, long time, and it wasn't until we had this pressing need for more space that we said, oh, okay, we can renovate it as long as we're adding on to it. And so we did it used to be one of the smallest schools, and we did expand it. Not anything like we're doing at Devotion, but it is substantially bigger than it was before, but also beautifully renovated. And so much better facility for the kids who are there.
Great. And Devotion is maintaining the old building to some extent, right?
Just the 1913 wing.
Okay.
Everything else got torn down. And the 1913 wing really got saved because John F. Kennedy did go to school there for a couple of years. And so many people felt, that, but, it also has that beautiful cupola
Yeah,
on
it
top,
actually
the
does.
sort of, it's copper,
Right.
so it's kind of beautiful. And the historic people liked that building for its own self, in addition to the John F. Kennedy connection.
Right.
But so that is going to be pretty much a new school, though, because even the wing that got saved, it's the exterior. It's going to be entirely renovated on the interior, so it's going to be essentially a new school, and it's going to have 1,000 kids in it, so it's going to be big.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, should we come to our age? The senior center.
Yeah. Well,
What was your involvement with the senior
Well,
center? When
years
did that
ago, I
start?
was on the finance committee, the town's finance
Right.
committee, before I went on to the Board of Selectmen, when they were trying to get this senior center built. And I'm happy to say I was always a supporter of building the senior center. I mean, it used to be that you'd see some of our senior citizens having to hang out at, there used to be a McDonald's, which isn't even there anymore, over on Harvard Street. And, people would try to hang out there and congregate a little bit just to have that sense of community.
Community, right.
But, so the senior center, did get built.
Right.
We're in it today. It's a beautiful space, and it's always hopping. I mean,
Oh, it is. I
it
came
is-
in today. I thought we wouldn't be able to start. There were so many people.
Yeah, it's a very popular, and the classes are well attended.
Right.
It's been a great spot. And I'm telling people now, and this is one message I want to say before I go off the board. I want people to be thinking of, we need to expand this building. There are so many people, so many seniors. It's a growing population in town, and they, really the ability to come together to take classes. They do everything here from play table tennis down on the lowest level to quilt making to computer classes. They have someone come here to tell them about their Social Security and Medicare
right, absolutely.
issues, and all sorts of lectures, and there's concerts and things, and it's a critical.
It's to me, it's a community. I call it the senior community center.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody else picks it up, but I like it.
But I have, for a number of years now, for quite a few years, been the Board of Selectmen's liaison
Right.
to the Council on Aging, and so I spend quite a bit of time over here and on various committees, and then we started the Age Friendly City.
Right.
Effort, and so that's even a little more involvement over here. So
Okay, so you're dealing with the students, and you're dealing with the senior center. What do you do with the poor millennials? You just leave them alone? Or?
Well, you know what? We have an under 4-minute response time in Brookline. So if you call 911
Right.
for any reason, you're going to get a response in under 4 minutes.
That's amazing.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, that safety.
That's for everybody.
Safety,
right?
keeping those roads plowed.
Everybody.
One of the issues I've been working
Right.
on was getting a little better sidewalk clearance for snow.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was
Everybody.
part of the, I was
Exactly,
interested in that as an age-friendly measure, but that works for everybody.
It does.
And so, I think Brookline's a good place to live,
It
and
is.
whatever your age may be.
Now, the next thing we're going to do is start bringing people in, okay? And I'd
Okay.
like to continue the discussion with other people.
Great.
So the first one that we're going to bring aboard is Neil Wyshynski, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, because he'd like to say a few words, and we can discuss a few of the things that you were involved with him.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
let's break for a minute.
All
We'll
right.
bring him in. Oh, welcome back, Neil. Welcome back to our show.
Sure.
And it's really good to have both of you here. So it's yours, as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned.
Well, I've known Nancy now for, I guess, 17 years.
20 years, I think.
Almost 20 years. Because when I joined the advisory committee,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was in 2000. And I think the entire time you've been involved in senior issues, and most recently you've been the liaison to the Senior Center for the Board of Selectmen. And just observing, I think it's probably the issue you have the most passion for.
Definitely.
And even early on in my relationship with you, one of the earliest things we had worked on together is looking at snow removal and getting the roadways clear, but also the sidewalks clear, and doing as many sidewalks as possible, and also making sure that the sidewalk clearing laws are adhered to, especially in the commercial areas.
Well, you've actually gotten the bicycles off the sidewalks too, to some extent, which is an issue that I have.
Well, I have also been, my entire time on the board, been the chairman of the town's audit committee, and I've been trying to convince my fellow selectmen how exciting the audit committee is, but somehow I don't think they're buying it. It's actually critical, but yes.
It is critical.
Not necessarily most beloved role.
So they can't replace you easily there. Where else can't you replace that?
No, the school projects.
We were talking about Runkle, as you said,
Right.
just before you came in, and some of the other projects in passing.
And Devotion,
Devotion, and
the ninth
and the
school.
ninth school.
Right, and
So,
I'll be following in Nancy's footsteps in the ninth school.
Well, I'm happy to have Neil taking over because it requires some stamina to get through these. Nobody in town wants anything built near them. That's kind of human nature, I guess. But we have certainly encountered that, and particularly true with this project, where there is a little small school on the site we're going to build on, but we're talking about tearing that down and building a much bigger school, and it's, there's a lot.
Certainly need it. I mean,
We
there's
certainly
no
do need
question.
it, but there's a lot of resistance from the neighborhood, and so you get beaten up a little bit. So I appreciate
A little bit?
I appreciate that Neil's willing to step in and take over.
So what would your role be on the town meeting as these things progress? Are
Well,
you just out of it? Or,
no, I am running for town meeting, and I'm happy to say I'm one of the few races that's unopposed.
Right.
So I'm halfway in already.
Absolutely.
And although I do hope my voters come out for me on election day. So
Even though you're unopposed.
yeah. But I wanted to be still in a position to vote for these issues that, I found so important, the school issues, the senior issues.
Absolutely.
The snow removal, all
Right.
any number of issues. I have also tried to be a strong proponent for us. We have, I think, really a great set of fiscal policies. This is part of my audit committee hat here. And I've been an advocate that we stick to those fiscal policies. And you always have people saying, oh, you could give way here, or you could give way here. But Brookline has weathered the downturns better than a lot of other communities. And I think it's because we have a strong set of fiscal
Yes.
policies, and we have stuck to them. We're kind of excited because we're filming this on April 18th, and we are going to meet, we're appointing tonight a new finance director, and we're going to
Right.
meet her and chat with her first.
Can we get the news?
Sure, I think it's public, so it's on our
Great.
agenda. So her name is Gina Franconi,
Great.
and she was the budget director over in Cambridge, and we're
Right.
very thrilled
Excellent.
to have her. I think people are going to like her. I was on the committee that did the interviews, and I think she's going to be great for the town. So happy to get that done before I leave.
Oh, great news.
And Cambridge is a city that has very strong fiscal policies. They're in really good shape, and
Yeah.
I hope that she can bring some of the Cambridge magic here.
Yeah, well, they do have that great big commercial tax base. I don't know how we
Right.
match that.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, we're working on it, right?
Yeah, right. Well, You know, that's one of the struggles in Brookline, though, for us, is because we are, largely it's a residential tax.
It is.
And yet we try to keep down those taxes. I know people may be complaining because we've had some overrides lately, but we have worked really hard over the years to make those overrides as few and far between as possible.
Right.
So I'm going to shift a little bit to the view of age friendliness from across the ages. How in the world, on the Board of Selectmen, do you take into account a town with a range from people in their 60s and 70s, children, millennials, Gen X's, etc., in a town this size, and deal with all those different interests? And now I think I think, as Nancy was pointing out, I think they really are a lot of things that cross all of them. But I just wonder.
But I think, you know, if you look at a lot of the things seniors might be interested in, good pedestrian walkways, for example.
Library services.
Library services.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those are services and conditions and facilities that are common across all ages. And I think, or if you look at something like our Complete Streets policy, it's aiming to improve the pedestrian experience, the bicycling experience, and that's not just seniors, that's not just kids, that's not just, it's everybody. And you know, trying to get away to some degree from the auto culture. We're blessed in Brookline with, you know, our streets were laid out for the most part before automobiles, so we kind of have that legacy, but trying to bring that back and enhance it. And I don't think that's age specific.
No, I agree with you. Oh, excuse me. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, Frank Caro,
Frank
who
Caro,
I
who's
think
gonna
is
be
going
on
to
the
be
show
on, I
later.
guess. You know.
Yes, he was directly involved,
Right.
but I really very much it has caused me, at least, when I go from city to city and I visit around the world and I go places, the first thing I start looking for is, well, we can use that, or do we have that, or you know, or why don't they have what we have here?
Right.
So I've started comparing and looking at those things, and there's no question that's age friendly from the bottom to the top.
Yes.
And beginning to people of all ages.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we as the leaders of the town have to be cognizant of you know, all our citizens and all the constituencies that are in the town. And as soon as we start leaning one way or the other, then I think it's problematic, because I think we need to be as inclusive as we can.
Yeah, I think we all appreciate that. And Nancy's definitely, at least in the committees I've been on, she's a perfect example of someone who's
Yeah.
constantly thinking of all ages and all ethnic groups and all the diverse
Yep.
Brookline that exists.
Well, one of the benefits to having been on the board for 12 years is a lot of people come up and tell you what their complaint is or what they need, and you know, you hear a lot from people, and I think we all try to be good at listening to that and, you know, seeing what we can do to meet the needs of people.
Tell you one thing I'm going to miss. You know, Nancy has been on the board, as she just said, 12 years, and that's a lot of institutional memory. And once Nancy's off, I'll be the most senior person on the board, and I've only been on the board 4 years.
You can call me. And
Yeah, I think you will.
I have her phone number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So I just like to know, going forward, two things. One, first of all, do you have any particular memory that stands out that you like to bring out as over the last 7 years, 12 years, etc.?
I have to confess, I think it was last year, I actually voted against the permit for the marathon because or maybe it was the year before, but after the bombing, they started running the barricades all up Beacon Street.
Right.
And it used to be that you could kind of go watch the marathon and enjoy it, and you'd dart across the street when you needed to when there was a
Right.
break. And it got so this was for a while the first couple years after the bombing, it was hard for people to cross at all. Well, I'm happy to say I went down there yesterday, and they had this great clever system for crossing at Tappan
really?
Street, where they'd have a rope and they'd direct the runners this way and let the people move out into this little box in the middle of the street, and then they'd move the rope and have the runners go the other way. And I said they should be putting my name on that crossing. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, the funny thing is, until just a few years ago, whenever the BAA would come before us to get the permit, it was a love fest, you know.
Right. Of course.
And then with the increased security, I knew that Nancy was on the case. And was going to really drill into the BAA representative to make sure that.
Well, the thing is, you have to be cognizant of the citizens of Brookline,
Right.
and you know, seniors, mothers with young babies, you know, sometimes need to be able to cross Beacon Street.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know
so-
people who were going in my age who were going for surgery on Monday.
Yeah.
And they had to actually get across and get to the hospital at a certain time during the day. And they were really frightened, but there was no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
They were able to do it. But there was great concern. And I knew people there are people who leave town during this weekend. But again, everybody here needs to get around and but we love it. I mean,
Yeah.
we still,
Yeah.
you know.
No, it is a fun event, and I'm
It's a
happy. We're all happy now because I've got my crossing there, and
Right.
you know, people
See?
can.
So
move
now
it over.
now we can say
Yeah.
that you've accomplished something
I
in your
have
12 years.
accomplished something.
Maybe a few more things. Okay, I think we if you'll permit me, I think we should move on. Probably Frank is sitting here waiting off wings.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we would like to bring him in. and
Well,
start
thank you
on
for
the,
coming.
season.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me.
Okay.
I'll see you.
Thanks again, Neil.
Okay.
Can I invite you back again?
Of course. Anytime.
Thanks. All right. Welcome back.
Well, good to see you.
Welcome
man.
back to the show.
Nice to see you, Nancy.
Frank and Nancy were on the first show together that we had. And it's very nice to bring them back at the 12th to celebrate Nancy's moving upward and onward. So welcome. And the only thing I don't know is I came in the middle, and I have no idea how age-friendly cities got started. And the two of these were there pretty much at the beginning. Frank, can you bring us up to date?
Yeah, we got started with the Age Friendly City Initiative really, because I learned about it from one of my former students who was living in Switzerland and was involved a little bit with the development of the Age Friendly City Initiative by the World Health Organization. And we'd had, through Brookline Can, we had the Livable Community Advocacy Committee going. When I heard about age-friendly cities, I thought, we're already doing all this stuff. So I thought, we might as well get formally involved. We should enlist the town and make get the town to sign on to the agenda. And Ruth Ann Dobik and I approached Betsy DeWitt, who was then chair of the Board of Selectmen. Nancy, Betsy was receptive. We held a meeting with Betsy, with Nancy, Ruth Ann, and Mel Kleckner, and we decided to go forward. We formed a committee that explored the possibility. We did that early in 2012. Then by late in 2012, we were ready to submit our application, and we were quickly accepted. And then we needed to form a permanent selectmen's committee that would keep the initiative going. Nancy, Ruth Ann, and I became co-chairs. And we've been going full steam every month. We've been ready, meeting every month. We've been getting a lot accomplished. We have Initially, we had 10 departments, town departments participating. Since then, we've added a few more.
Yeah,
I
it's
think one of the
amazing.
great
Amazing.
things about just the effort to apply, and we have to reapply periodically or update our information. And so we contact the departments and ask them to tell us what they're doing in
Right.
terms of age-friendly, and then, you know, sometimes we're suggesting, here's another thing you could do that we'd like to add onto the list. And I think it really has spread an awareness through all our town departments of, you know, we want that to be automatic.
That's it. They should
that
be thinking-
People think,
should be
okay,
thinking
we're
about it.
redoing this park, or we're doing something, you know, we're redoing a street, whatever it is.
Library, work in a library. work in a-
Anything.
Yeah.
What are the age-friendly aspects
Right.
of this? That, we want that to be on the top of everybody's checklist when they're doing anything.
Right.
And, you know, I think we're getting there. I think we're made substantial progress on getting people to think about those issues and respond, you know.
Yeah, I was just seeing the annual report that came out. You just produced one this year, right? It was,
Well,
we
it
produced
just so
one.
happens I brought a copy along.
Did you really? What a coincidence. So everybody should look at that, actually. It's on, it should be on the various websites, the town and the Brookline Can and Senior Center, et cetera, but, and distributed. But, yeah, it's pretty exciting, actually, so,
But I think we should talk about a couple of examples of kind of instances in which town departments are moving in a more age-friendly direction. The town has lots of playgrounds. It's on a regular program to revitalize the playground. So typically every year, one or two playgrounds gets made over. But you know, we've raised the question. Well, we need, you're redoing a little park, neighborhood park. Well, it has users of all ages, and you know, why not incorporate some features that make it attractive to
I'm on
to
Corey
older
Hill.
people?
I'm on Corey Hill, and they're about to start work. And I attended some of their meetings where they brought out the children, the playground, and they brought out disabled, they brought out seniors, they brought out Tai Chi in the morning, they brought out religious ceremonies, some holidays at various times. And how do they prepare these parks for those things? And it's directly a result, I will say, directly a result of the Age-Friendly Cities activities. So it's that they were conscious of it, so.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're right on.
And I should say we've done a lot of work on pedestrian issues, and I think we've been successful with the Department of Public Works to have them focus a little bit more on pedestrian issues. Some of our work has been concerned with winter sidewalk maintenance after snowstorms.
And Neil was just pointing out how that the town has responded to some of that, to hearing that and to working on the sidewalks.
Well, Mel Kleckner, the town administrator, with some nudging on our part,
Yeah.
formed a task force that looked at winter sidewalk conditions. Nancy?
Well, one of the
served on
benefits to
that?
having someone on the Board of Selectmen as well is I frequently bring the
Right.
issues up again when we're going through the budget, when we're going, you know, whatever the discussion may be. I try to drag in the age-friendly issues as we go along so that people are hearing about it, not just once, but many, many times.
From every angle.
Yeah, yeah.
But in a practical way, we hear from Andy Papasturgeon, the Commissioner of Public Works, that he has limited personnel and that he's not able to give sidewalks attention as quickly after snowstorms as we would like. But Nancy spoke up and managed to get some more equipment for
Well,
him.
one of the ironies is one of the pieces of equipment that they got, which they call the Beast in DPW, but you remember on the bad snow years how that snow just kind of piles
Oh,
up
yeah.
and forms an almost impenetrable wall if you're parking over here to get to the sidewalk. And so to remove that, you know, this is what this machine
That's
does.
what
It's
the
kind of
piece-
like a
yeah.
giant vacuum thing, and it comes and sucks it right up into it. Now, it turns out, it was an expensive piece of equipment, but it turns out that the way they used to do it, they'd have to send out a couple of crews, and they would be, you know, using like front loaders and putting the stuff into a truck, and costs more than the piece of equipment
Right.
that does it so much better and so much more quickly. So you only have to have 1 or 2 snow cleanups like that to pay for the entire cost of this piece of equipment. So in the long run, it was cost effective
Right,
to get
right.
that, and we should, you know, see better, better cleanup, because they can get rid of the mountain, you know.
But I think you also managed to get another sidewalk plowed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, it's nice having
I
a
still- I
friend.
still
It's
feel
nice
like
having
it
a
should-
friend on the board. It's
Yeah,
not-
I still feel like we need some more equipment, but, you know,
it's
but
good.
we have improved things, definitely.
So will you stay with the Age-Friendly Cities Committee as the
Yeah,
co-chair?
yeah, well, I don't know if they want me as co-chair any longer, but I will stay on the committee,
Good.
so.
You know, another thing I think we should, would talk about is while we're having this part of this conversation, is that one of the themes that the World Health Organization emphasizes for the age-friendly city initiatives is participation, and Nancy has really kind of orchestrated our attention to participation, and one of the kind of significant things that she really advanced, that she really threw her energies into, were a couple of health fairs that were done.
Oh, yes, the
Yeah.
health forums were,
Yeah, we've
they were
had
wonderful.
them here at the senior
Right.
center every other year,
Right.
and they've been tremendously successful.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that Frank really, that we pinpointed when we were doing the initial report was, for the age-friendly, you know, certification, was that we have a lot of resources in Brookline for seniors, but people didn't always know everything that was available.
Right.
And so I think the, you know, that's what launched me on the having the health fair thing, idea. And we were able to partner with the Hebrew Senior Life community, so, you know, actually it didn't cost the town too much. And,
Excellent.
you know, so it was great.
well, they're right, yeah, they're
Next door
nearby to
neighbors, yeah.
the senior center.
Well, actually, when I think that, probably the biggest thing that we kind of collectively came to when we got started with the Age-Friendly City Initiative is a really kind of an understanding of how much the town is already doing.
Yes.
And the fact that none of us was fully aware of what the town was doing. So we decided that the single most important action item for us had to be information dissemination. And we decided to reach out, to look for somebody who would be, to really take the leadership in that. And we had a citizen who came forward, a fellow by the name of Matt Weiss.
Thank you very much. And the Age-Friendly Cities Committee was very nice enough to start this show. They took
Well, that's-
advantage of Brookline Interactive.
Mhm.
And it's I'm not going to thank you because I'm not the game, but the public is, I think. That was one of the things that I was wondering if you're going to hit that.
So,
Yeah.
in fact, this show is a visible manifestation of
Oh, it
our
is.
commitment to make information more widely available about what the town is doing.
Yeah, this is entirely your effort of the Age-Friendly Cities Committee. There's no question about it. And I think you guys have done a wonderful. I know when I joined that committee, there was nothing happening. You had from scratch. You just drew people and attracted them, made connections with all of the departments, made connections with the various things happening in town. Looked at elevator buildings. Looked at worked with the Brookline Can group also. Worked with other groups. So the volunteer groups, the departments, the board of selectmen, the people in town, you got them all going. So, and I hope it keeps up and you keep going with it because I would hate to see it drag.
Right. Well, as I say, I'm willing to stay on, but I think that they also should have a selectman.
Absolutely.
Join the committee, a sitting selectman, because that's a useful person to be able to reach out to the departments.
Is that going to happen? Are we going to get a selectman on the committee?
Well, we're going to work on it, I'm sure we will.
Thank you. So I
I'm going
think
to give them a long, long list of all my committees that I'm on before I go. Tell them they need to, you know.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's the only danger I see, and I think probably Frank, you know, the danger of you leaving behind a vacuum or leaving a gap. You know, you're at force. I'm glad to say, and we don't want to. We certainly won't lose it on the things you do, but we certainly want backup.
But you know, I do think that the town has gotten the message. I think there's a kind of increased awareness that we are in a period in which there's very profound demographic shift. We are, increasingly, like the rest of the country, we're increasing proportion of our population is made up of older people. And it's important to make adjustments to accommodate the needs of of older people. I think the town is responding.
I believe it. Okay, so we do have other guests coming. Everybody wants to say goodbye to you, but you're not leaving. So we'll talk, and we'll talk a little bit more about the senior center and the Council on Aging.
Great, okay.
Thank you. Well, we're very happy to have two people that have not been on the show before, but that have been in the background and affecting it for a long time, and affecting the activities of the Age-Friendly Cities Committee, of the Senior Center, of Brookline Community Aging Network, and the town itself. So we have Roberta Winitza, who is the original producer of this show. So that's not her major title, but that's, and she's now the director of the board of the chair of the board of the Council on Aging. And we have Ruth Ann Dobek, who is the executive director of the Council on Aging, which runs the Senior Center. So we're here in the Senior Center largely because of Ruth Ann and Nancy and Nancy's activities throughout that time with
Ruth Ann gets way more credit than I do.
Oh, is that right?
She was the one that came, I was on the advisory committee, but she came and fought for the senior center.
And we were reminiscing,
Yeah.
so you were chair right when we were building the
Yes, that's
senior
right.
center.
Yeah.
And as you remember, it was not easy.
It
That
wasn't. There
we-
was opposition. People saying, why do seniors need a place to go?
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, they used to kind of sadly sit in a corner of a McDonald's that used to be nearby, and it was utterly clear that people did need a place to be able to congregate. But it's become, and Ruth Ann gets so much credit, but it's become such a vibrant place.
Yes.
With so many interesting activities and classes, and people love to come here.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
And Matt, what we always say though is that yes, we as the Council on Aging that runs the senior center can be the advocates, and the seniors themselves are strong advocates. But until you have that person in the selectman role, you lack the
Right.
authority of the town.
Right.
And to have such a friend of the seniors, which is the role that Nancy really started with, but even more has grown really comfortable.
Right.
And now she will advocate without me having to say, Nancy, please make sure you remember the seniors. She's telling me to advocate more. It's been a role reversal, which is wonderful to see.
Well, I always say that my work with the senior center, with the age-friendly city community, is the fun part of my job. We have a lot, when you're on the board of selectmen, you hear a lot of complaints from people about things in the town they wish were different or better. But when I come to the senior center, people are happy to see me, so it's a pleasure.
And speaking of happy to see Nancy, have you talked yet about when she put on her dancing shoes?
No, I was.
So, talking about going beyond the call of duty for fun, in 2015, right? Nancy danced for Brookline Rotary, Dancing with the Stars,
Right.
and her fundraiser was for our respite program, a program which provides seniors and their family caregivers who need a break a free 40 hours of respite care.
Right.
And Nancy, with a bad knee,
I was
and
just thinking about that.
That was incredible.
was it pre-surgery? Yes,
It was pre-surgery,
Surgery.
so I was wearing a brace on my knee when I danced.
But despite that, this did a fabulous with her partner singing in the rain, and raised $11,000, which
Wow.
got the respite program. No small doings.
Right.
And there's a story that I love to tell about that respite program. One of our firefighters in Brookline,
Right.
who is retired and suffering from dementia, and his wife is a full-time caregiver, and she had not been able to basically leave the house for 4 years with her caregiving duties. And because of the respite program, she first ventured out and got her hair done, went to lunch, and most special of all, started doing piano lessons with a local student due to her free time. And that was all because of the dedication of Nancy's dancing. So quite a...
a fabulous story, but it's
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to invite me onto Broadway anytime soon,
No?
but I was happy to be able to help the Senior Center program.
When I came out this morning, when I was coming to this show, my wife said, Nancy, this Dance with the Stars. It was, that was the first thing that she thought. She said, "You're going to mention Dancing with the Stars?" And I actually forgot. I'm glad you brought it up. That was
But
fabulous.
just again,
That was
another
great.
example of her dedication to
Absolutely.
go over.
Yep. Yeah, this is, you contributed to the senior center as well as age-friendly cities, but and what about the Council on Aging? What's your role with the Council on Aging?
Well, I'll answer that question, but I just have to follow up with something about Nancy. She really becomes an agent for people that she meets and think might fit in some way with another project she's involved in. So when I was still a library
Agent or
trustee,
matchmaker?
yeah. So when I was still a library trustee, that was when you knocked on my door and said, we're starting a new organization, a new department in town, and told me about the Age-Friendly Cities project and would I represent the library. So from being involved first in the Age-Friendly Cities project, representing the library, Nancy again decided I really needed an agent for me to get more involved with the senior center, with whom I had been working for some time doing programming from, related to the library and all that. So I think at some point you're going to ask for a commission. But as chair of the Council on Aging, what's really been important to me is every time I am involved in any discussion or giving some set of information, I know that I can then turn to you and say, well, Nancy, what's the rest of the story? And always, you're always backup. And in a way that helps everybody who is at the meeting completely understand, for example, the development and design of the schools, which is in the forefront right now.
Yeah.
So I expect you're still going to be involved in the Council on Aging.
Well, we'll
As a
see.
volunteer, anyway, right?
I have told Betsy Pollock, who has your fundraising arm, that I would be delighted to join her board.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the future of the senior center as it goes forward, right?
That's right.
This is what you depend on, right? Is people who volunteers, connections to the board of selectmen, connections to the various groups in town.
Right. Political action, volunteering, fundraising, all of those components, which Nancy is the
Right.
perfect embodiment of, is what's needed. But Matt, I also want to just bring attention that Nancy's also taking it to the next step, is she's saying she's going to volunteer and be part of the
Right.
fundraising arm. She also has been active in articulating that the town also needs to start thinking about the future of senior services,
Right.
you know, looking a little bit ahead. And again, she has quickly picked up that we need to be thinking just like the schools do about future,
Yeah.
because the senior population continues to grow.
Right.
We've actually got a couple of really big projects nearby
Yeah.
where they're expanding senior housing, which is great, and we certainly need affordable senior
And
housing.
they're practically in the backyard, and
But they're-
actually literally the backyard of the senior center.
But
so-
that is going to increase the population that's
Absolutely.
within easy walking distance to this building. And they also run the bus, you know, as you know, so that brings seniors from all parts of town to this building. And so that, you know, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I am really starting to try to tell people before I leave this, my current job,
I think you're right.
that people really need to be, it's not the program, and so many of your programs you volunteers run, right?
Right.
You know, which is great. I mean, they could not run the senior center
That's
without
really,
the volunteers.
that's really
Right.
a
But,
very important point.
Seniors teaching other seniors things like how to
Yeah.
quilt, or, you know,
I've talked
English
to
as a
people.
second language.
English, yeah. But we actually need to be trying to find some way to partner with some of these nearby senior organizations
Well, we're
that are doing the housing.
We're sort of involved in that, really, in a communication project
Right.
right now with the two senior housing projects that
Yeah.
are, as I said, practically at our back door. And how will we blend and work with each other in projects?
But they need more space here for
But
their
that's
wonderful
the-
programming.
that's the
And so
caveat.
these people need to, I think, step up and say, yes, we've got a room you can use, or we've got some land nearby that you could use, or, you know, and then the town
I've
needs
talked to more
to.
people who are suddenly aware of the senior center and its programs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just last night, someone mentioned, yeah, I go to this book discussion at the senior
Yeah.
center. I said, I didn't even know you knew, she
Yeah.
knew about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't, she never talked about ever going to the senior center. Now she said she's in a discussion program.
Well,
And
and
more
they've got
people I hear who
exercise
mention it.
classes,
So, yeah,
and,
exercise, just now
you know,
went
it's,
past,
Yeah.
and the place was full.
Yeah.
And what happens, Matt, is if people come to one activity, that's where, as Nancy said, then they might say, oh, I can teach a class.
Right.
I have a passion. I can share that. And that's how we are able to expand.
Yeah.
Not because the town is saying, yeah, go hire more staff,
Right.
but because the community itself says,
but
I can run a book club. I can, do a current events. I can teach an art class.
Well, we should talk about expanding, but basically having our neighbors here on Winchester Street and surrounding areas realize that we are good neighbors, and how long it was actually for them to realize that we weren't going to be a noisy facility and we weren't going to have really wild parties, but we're here
Oh, no, you're
and we
disappointing
can.
me.
We can do that on occasion.
Yeah.
But there's also a relatively new concept in the senior center field called Senior Center Without Walls,
Yes.
which means that not only do we stay in this building with all the important things that we do, but we partner with the library
Yeah,
to
that's
do a
great.
program there. We partner with recreation to use tennis courts, golf courses, saying, a senior program.
I have an image
We
I didn't see La La Land, but I have an image of dancing seniors right now.
a flash mob.
Dancing
Yeah.
for-
Well, I have a committee,
Dancing for Brookline.
listen, I have a committee, an advisory committee for the Council on Aging, and one of the projects we're looking to do And actually, it is a dancing program, but it's contra dancing. Do you know anything about contra dancing?
No.
So this is another way to engage people in a fun kind of activity, but it's movement and it's a way to meet new people in a lovely, comfortable setting, which is what we do.
Yeah, I like the concept of center for seniors, center of seniors. And the seniors
Well, you're
are all
on this
over, and
committee,
this is just
you know
sort of
that.
the,
Yeah.
the focus, but
Right.
it's, and it's clearly a focus, but it's, and that's really a great concept.
Yeah, and this TV show is an example, senior center without walls.
That's true.
Brookline can, everything it's doing, if we're going to big and
Yeah.
filming or having a class or
Brookline Interactive's
working,
been very,
then that expands the programming that we're able to offer.
absolutely.
And shouldn't be limited just to someone's age or saying you're coming to the senior center. But keeping the older adults of this community active, engaged, and really feeling part of the community.
Yeah, I think
That's our
Nancy
goal.
was describing earlier how what's good not only for seniors but for children and for people of all ages. Basically, there's an awful lot in common, an awful lot of things that are done. And when you enhance a senior center, you enhance a school, you enhance the transportation, you enhance the areas around, the public areas, that it affects everybody. And
It
brings-
really, I think that when I think of you, sure, I think of you as a selectman right now, but I also know that in many ways you connect so many parts of our community, and you actually are building and enhancing the community, and comfortable in every organization.
So before we go, I want to make sure that Ruth Ann had asked to say a few words before we finished. So and I'm running the time, as usual, I let it run over. So I'd like to turn it over to you for a few minutes.
Great. Well, we had our board of directors, the nonprofit, and they voted Nancy to be the benefactor of the year, which will be held on October 25th here at the Senior Center. It's our biggest fundraiser, and Nancy will be the top honoree this year.
Excellent.
So it's a wonderful
That's so nice of you guys.
other way of honoring her years of commitment and
But-
advocacy.
But you can't stop.
I'm thrilled.
What did you just say?
She can't stop.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
We're going to keep her active.
Not only,
Yeah.
not our board of selectmen, but now that means that you're on a lot of other things.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for our guests. Thank you, Nancy, for making a great show.
Oh, well,
And I
thank
will
you for
have
having
back.
me.
You will be back sometime.
Okay.
Oh, it's our pleasure,
Thank you.
really.
This show will be shown next Wednesday, and after that at various times on Brookline Interactive. It's available on the website, the Brookline Can website, and it's also available on the Twitter and Facebook accounts for Brookline Can. And thank you very much for attending, and thank you, Nancy.